Well, more hearings are on the way on Benghazi. This on the heels of bombshell testimony from whistleblowers who said that requests for help after the deadly attacks were flat out denied. And there's more evidence that talking points from the administration were heavily edited and redacted. For instance, references to terror and al-Qaeda were completely removed. So who should be held accountable for this cover-up? Joining us now is Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert. Congressman, thanks a lot for joining us.
Great to be with you, Tucker.
So it seems to me now one of the key questions is, why didn't anybody come to rescue these 4 Americans? We know that the authorities were aware that they were under fire, and yet apparently a stand-down order was given. What happened?
Well, that's what we need to find out. We know Lieutenant Colonel Gibson got an order to stand down from somewhere, and it'd be good to know not only who that is, but also the person that ultimately gave the first order to stand down.
Why is it so hard to find out?
Well, we've got people that are impeding the investigation, and we heard that Wednesday. And I've been really honored to work with Darrell Issa and his committee, and have talked to numerous people that are involved, and we're hoping more are going to have.
But isn't it? I mean, it's on its face outrageous. You're the Congress, you have oversight responsibility for this stuff. Yeah. It's a very simple question.
People have felt like coming to Congress is a game, and it's not a game. You look at 18 U.S.C. 1505, and more people need to read this. It's quite serious. Whoever, by threats or threatening letter or communication, influences, obstructs, or impedes basically an investigation of Congress can go to prison for up to 5 years or 8 years if it involves a death, or terrorism. So this is quite serious. And it also goes with the story you were reporting earlier, where the IRS has come before Congress and not been truthful.
Not been truthful is right. Yeah. Here's the precise example. So June 2001, Lois Lerner, who's in charge of nonprofit exemptions at the IRS, learns that the agency has been flagging conservative groups and hassling them. So Congress holds hearings on this, Ways and Means Committee. The head of the IRS, Douglas Shulman, goes up the next year, 2012, March, and says this, and I'm quoting, "There is absolutely no targeting. This is the kind of back and forth that happens to people. That is a flat-out lie. There's no way he couldn't have known that was a lie."
We've got to get back to the rule of law, and this administration, for example, has given documents in discovery to terrorists in the Holy Land Foundation trial for terrorism, and won't even give them to Congress. They have impeded investigation after investigation, whether it's Fast and Furious, whether it's the IRS, or whether it's this. Would you consider it's impeding when somebody gets a call and says, "Don't cooperate with the congressman who is coming"?
That's totally illegal. But in this case, we know that Shulman, who runs the IRS, still runs the IRS. No one's been fired. No one's been taken into custody. I mean, how can this happen?
Well,
how can no one be held accountable?
Well, that's where we've got to finally, and I hope our leadership will step up late now. This is too serious. This is about a separation of powers. And if we do not stand up for the separation of powers and the oversight authority of Congress, then you might as well, crown somebody king and go on, because we have allowed this great experiment in democracy to crumble. We can't let that happen.
If an administration will use the IRS to punish its political enemies, what won't it do?
Well, that's what we need to find out, because it looks like they will order military members to stand down who are ready to go save our military members. And it still galls me. The administration released a report that Ty Woods and Glenn Doherty died running for cover, seeking cover, when even that was a lie when they finally released it. These guys were heroes. The other individual that had his leg blown off, or much of it blown off there with Ty and Glenn, he's still undergoing surgeries and rehab, and there are answers, and we should not stop until we get them, and that includes punishing anyone who has impeded an investigation. This is too serious, and people that throw out the word political, well, obviously we have found out this was political by this administration to get elected again, just like Richard Nixon did in breaking into a political headquarters, just like covering things up. That was all for politics. This is too, but people died, and people need to be held to account. They cannot continue to impede and obstruct congressional inquiries.
Congressman Louie Gohmert of Texas, thanks a lot for joining us this morning.
Tucker, thanks for being so on top of the story all this time.
We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, the Golden State of sick